Christmas is a fun time of year for most people, and you've got different kinds who celebrate Christmas differently. First, you've got the people who decorate their house with so many lights that it could probably be seen from outer space. And then there are those who just sort of phone it in. These are sort of like Christmas minimalists. But that's not all. You've got people who get creative with Christmas. They put up nativity scenes with Santa Claus, and then you've got those folks who throw Baby Yoda in there. But sometimes people try to debunk certain beliefs about Christmas in a way that actually disparages the uniqueness of the Christian faith. They do this through memes, which are bite-sized nuggets of digital information that are often funny, but sometimes are spectacularly wrong. So we're back to dismantle a couple of Christmas memes that provide false or misleading information about the most wonderful time of the year. The first one tells us, among other things, date of the birth of the sun god Mithra equals December 25th. Christmas equals pagan. We're celebrating Mithra's date of birth. So here's the problem. No ancient source ever says the god Mithra was born on the 25th of December. Whoever made this meme may have confused Mithra with Mithras. Mithra, or Mithra, was a Persian god. Mithras was the Roman version that critics falsely claim was a messianic savior figure like Jesus. Actually, we have very little written about Mithras from the ancient world. He was the god of a mystery religion, and the mystery cults left behind very little information about what they believed and what they did in their rituals. They probably weren't terribly secretive, since they sometimes met in public spaces, public buildings. But scholars don't often know very much about them because we don't have any religious texts indicating what they believed. But the problem with Mithras is we know even less about him than we do most other gods. The one thing we do know is that there is no information at all about him being born on December 25th. This meme is totally, completely, and in all other ways absolutely false. Our second little jewel here says, Christmas was illegal in the U.S. until 1836 as it was considered an ancient pagan holiday. Okay, there's quite a bit wrong with this one. First of all, one of the early colonies did outlaw Christmas celebrations. It happened in the Massachusetts Bay Colony in 1659. It wasn't necessarily because they were considered pagan, though. It's because Christmas celebrations were typically rowdy, loaded with alcohol, and could even turn violent. Christmas carolers would go door to door singing in exchange for food or drink, and there were cases where some carolers would invade wealthier homes and vandalize them, or even commit acts of violence if the owners didn't comply. This seems to be referenced in the song "We Wish You a Merry Christmas." If you remember, the song says, "Oh, bring us some figgy pudding," and in the next stanza it says, "We won't go until we get some." So translation, bring us our figgy pudding or else. Sure, that sounds reasonable because who wants a drunken mob issuing ultimatums just loitering on your porch? Needless to say, Christmas celebrations in these times weren't always the family-centered holidays we know and love. And it was this way with children, too. In the mid-1600s in England, Scotland, and Ireland, schoolboys had a tradition called barring out the schoolmaster. They would stockpile supplies and barricade themselves inside the school at Christmas time, and if the schoolmaster or other school officials breached their defenses, the students would all be beaten. But if they held out for 3 days, they won, whatever that meant. Historical records do indicate that the children would arm themselves with swords, clubs, and pistols, and there were a few instances where people were shot and killed accidentally. This tradition migrated to America in a less violent form that lasted until the 19th century. But back to 1659, Christmas was outlawed for about 22 years in the Massachusetts Bay Colony, but it was only in that colony and only for a couple of decades. And the driving reason why was because Christmas celebrations tended to be fueled with booze and sometimes included gunfire. It was a time of gluttony, drunkenness, gambling, and licentious behavior, all of which the Puritans in Massachusetts found highly objectionable, immoral, and generally a public safety hazard. In fact, the wording of the ban made it clear that the Puritans really didn't care if people celebrated Christmas privately. They were just trying to prevent public disorder. This claim is so bad that even the Associated Press debunked it. So you're going to see lots of memes like these in social media around Christmas time, but use some discretion before you believe or share anything. Do your own research because a lot of these memes deserve to be destroyed and thrown into a digital dustbin.